was Halloween night, and my best friend Sarah invited me to a house party a few streets away. It wasn't anything crazy, just a few dozen people from our college, music playing, orange string lights, and everyone in costumes. I went dressed as a witch, and Sarah wore a skeleton onesie. When we arrived, the house was already buzzing with music. I remember laughing with friends in the kitchen when I noticed him. A tall guy, wearing a cracked, pale porcelain mask and a black hoodie. At first, I thought he had a clever costume. But what stood out was that he didn't talk to anyone. He just stood near the hallway, still. Occasionally, he'd tilt his head when someone passed by, like he was observing. I assumed he was a friend of someone else. But as the night went on, something felt off. He never took his mask off, never grabbed a drink, never danced, just watched. At one point, Sarah leaned in and whispered, "Who invited the masked guy?" I shrugged. She went to ask a few people. No one knew him. Hours passed. People started leaving, but he was still there. Around 1 a.m., Sarah's parents texted her to clear out the house. As we began cleaning, the masked guy disappeared. At least, that's what we thought. I went upstairs to grab my jacket from one of the bedrooms. The lights were off. As I opened the door, I froze. The guy in the mask was standing in the corner of the dark room, silent, facing the wall. My heart dropped. I stumbled back and yelled for Sarah. She ran up with 2 others. But by the time we turned on the light, the corner was empty. The only thing left was the mask, lying on the floor. Sarah's parents checked the house and backyard, but no one was there. The next morning, Sarah found her bedroom window wide open. Every town has that one house that kids dare each other to enter. For us, it was the old house on Oak Street. It had been abandoned for decades, with broken windows, rotting wood, and rumors of strange lights seen at night. My friend Mark thought it would be the perfect Halloween party location. So, about 15 of us snuck in through the back and set up a few lanterns, a speaker, and decorations. It was sketchy, but we were excited. At first, it was just music, drinks, and everyone laughing about how creepy the house was. But then, little things started happening. The first was the knocking. 3 slow knocks. Everyone thought it was someone outside trying to scare us. Mark went to check the door. No one. Then the lights started flickering. It was an abandoned house, so we thought maybe the power was unstable. Except there was no power. We were using lanterns and extension cords from a generator. About an hour in, one of my friends, Lisa, went upstairs to use the bathroom. A few minutes later, she came running down, pale as a sheet. She swore she heard footsteps following her in the hallway. Slow, heavy, and deliberate. We all went up together to prove her wrong. That's when we heard it too. Thud, thud, thud. It came from the end of the hallway, where a door stood slightly open. Mark called out, "Who's there?" No response. He kicked the door open, and the entire hallway light went out. The generator downstairs suddenly shut off, plunging us into darkness. People screamed. Someone's phone flashlight flicked on, just in time for us to see a dark figure at the end of the hallway, standing perfectly still. We bolted out of that house. The next day, Mark went back with his brother to grab the leftover decorations. The door at the end of the hallway was nailed shut from the inside. Halloween was always my favorite night of the year. I had just left a party at a friend's place around midnight. It wasn't far from my house, maybe a 15-minute walk. The streets were mostly empty except for a few lingering trick-or-treaters. Halfway home, I got this strange feeling, like someone was behind me. Every time I turned around, I saw nothing. I brushed it off, probably my imagination. But as I reached my street, I clearly heard footsteps behind me, slow and heavy. I turned around again. Nothing. The houses were quiet, porch lights glowing faintly. When I finally got inside, I locked the door and laughed nervously at myself. I grabbed some water from the kitchen, and that's when I heard it. Knock, knock, knock. Someone was at my door. I peeked through the peephole. Nobody. Then came a second knocking sound, this time from the back door. My stomach turned cold. I grabbed a kitchen knife and slowly moved toward the back. No one. Just the sound of leaves rustling. I eventually went to bed, unsettled but exhausted. At around 3 a.m., I woke up to the sound of whispering in my room. I shot up and turned on the lamp, empty. And then, from the corner of my room, came a third knock. The next morning, I checked every lock and window. All were closed. My neighbor later told me she saw a figure standing on my porch around midnight, wearing a mask.